If you've been listening to the show for a while, you know that I have a soft spot for post-apocalyptic movies and dystopian futures and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, as of lately, the majority of the dystopian future post-apocalyptic stuff have been coming from the young adult adaptations. Some of them have been good. I enjoyed the first two Maze Runner movies. And then you have ones like The Fifth Wave, where you had a good concept, but it got mired down in the whole young adult themes. And I understand that. The movies and the books aren't aimed at me. They're aimed at the young adult audience, and what they want is a good bit of turmoil and a mixture of romance, often love triangles, and that does nothing for me. Especially because with something like The Fifth Wave, the movie's going along and it's getting interesting, and then they insert this love triangle, and it feels from out of nowhere, but then it's like, oh right, this is based off a young adult novel, so they have to have the love angle in there. In the case of Allegiant, this is based off the third book in the young adult trilogy, Divergent. I haven't read any of the books, as is usually the deal with these, but I liked the first movie. I thought it was good. I thought it had a lot of action. I liked the concept of it, and I thought the love angle that was there wasn't bad. It felt natural. In this, it worked. I didn't mind it all that much. Then there was the sequel, Insurgent, which continued the story. It was a little slow because the movie revolved a lot around the lead character more or less being tortured. And then the third book was about these divergents that were escaping and trying to find out a little bit more about the city that they're living in. I guess I should probably go over the basics. In the future, the Earth is pretty much destroyed. There's thousands and thousands of survivors that are living inside of a walled city that used to be Chicago. To keep the peace, they split everybody into different factions, and each faction kind of has its own function. There's the intelligent ones, there's the more outgoing ones, and so on and so forth. And if you don't fit into any of those factions, they consider you a divergent. As I said with the first movie, it was really cool. You had Kate Winslet playing a fantastic villain, and Shailene Woodley, who plays the female lead, was terrific because she starts off kind of scared, and she eventually steps up and becomes a hero. The second one, they find this device that explains what's going on in the outside world. And then with this one, Allegiant, a bunch of the divergents escape into the outside world, and they're trying to find out what's really going on. I liked it better than Insurgent, but it still wasn't as good as the first movie. There was a lot of dragging in this one. It seemed like they were padding it out. And initially, I thought that was because they had split the last book into two movies. Originally, it was Allegiant Part 1 and Allegiant Part 2, but now it's Allegiant, and then next year, they're putting out the last movie, which they're calling Ascendant. According to some fairly upset fans on the message boards, this movie comprised the entirety of Allegiant. So this was the end of the story. Everything that happened comprised the entire third book. And the next movie, Ascendant, evidently is going to be all new material. I don't know much about it at all. I just know that they're continuing the story in the movie, even though the book series is now over. Which I find very odd because the movie did feel like it was more of a part one of two. They left it with a lot of questions and quite possibly one of the most abrupt endings I've ever seen in a movie. If it was any more abrupt, they would have ended it mid-sentence. They had a big action sequence and info dump and then immediately right into the credits. So I don't know what they're going to do with the next one. There's a lot of bad guys that are still alive. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen to more or less tie up some loose ends from this one. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I probably could have waited for the home video release of this because it didn't really jump out at me as much as the first one did. Like I said, I really enjoyed the first one, but 2 and 3, they were good, but they weren't anything particularly special. Now I'm kind of to the point where I don't know if I'm going to go see the fourth movie in the theater or not. Allegiant was good, not great. Honestly, if you haven't seen any of these, I think that Divergent is at least kind of worth checking out. I don't think it's a particularly bad movie. I actually think that this is one of the few young adult series that's somewhat entertaining. It's better than The Fifth Wave.